Morning. Yesterday we began a Maimer Torah Parshas Terumah. It was quoted a pasuk Yitnech ka'ach li, and the Alter Rebbe explained that the pasuk means that the way that we're asking Hashem that we should become a brother in the time of Galus, just like it was in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, and the way to get there, we explained, is dafka through these days, is to get through Torah. And in Torah, the idea of halachas, as it says, Kol Hashem halachas b'chol yom muftach lo yishehu ben elam haba. Okay, we're holding, for those using the Torah the red ones, we're holding daf pei. It's, the column starts with emtza'acha b'chutz. Okay, so we explained the first part of the pasuk of yitnech ka'ach. Now we're going to explain, what does it say? Emtza'acha b'chutz, I will find you outside. So yitnech ka'ach means to those who learn Torah, to those who are involved in Torah all day. So how do they get connected to Hashem? In a way of brother, this is through the idea of halachas. So he says, emtza'acha b'chutz, what does it mean? I will find you outside. Koya bale asokim, this is going on business people. Even though people who are in business don't have the ability to learn Torah constantly, which we explained yesterday. This is the idea of nursing from the shtei imi through the dal amas of halacha. So a balabas, a bal esek, doesn't have this time to get to this level. Nevertheless, mikol mokim aleim nemar, the mikol mokim, nevertheless. What does Shloimy Melech say in Shir Hashirim? Emtza'acha b'chutz. Gamkein, Hashem says, I will find you outside, which means that that even a Bal Esek, even though he doesn't learn Torah, he doesn't have the time to sit and learn all day, nevertheless, he can attain the level of ka'ach li. So he explains. What's this concept? We find in regards to Hashem that the expression of kaina, which means a purchaser, a buyer. Like it says in Parshas Lech Lecha, Perek Yudal Pasuk Yites, kaine shamayim v'aretz. He acquires the heavens and the earth. And from here the Gemara learns in Pirkovis, Chamisha kinyanim kana kadosh baruch hu. Hashem acquired 5 things. So Hashem is called a koine, he acquires. It says in Parshas Kisisa, got some water? Sheishes yomim osa Hashem es hashamayim ve'es haaretz uvayem hashvi shavas. It says in Parshas Kisisa, Perek Lamed Aleph, Pasuk Zayin, 6 days Hashem made the heavens and the earth, uvayem hashvi, and on the 7th day Shavas Hashem rests. The whole Shabbos nikra Yom Hashvi Shabbos lahavaya, and every single Shabbos is called the Yom Hashvi, the 7th day for Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe asks, how could we call the 7th day nowadays the Yom Hashvi, the 7th day? Many days have passed from when the first Shabbos was created to now. How could you call Shabbos, every Shabbos you're calling it Yom Hashvi? So the question is, the Chayra should have said Sheishes Yomim, or B'Sheishes Yomim, Osa Hashem Es Hashemayim V'es Haaretz, that Ubayim Hashvi Shabbos. Or why does it say Yom Hashvi? It's mashma like it's happening every Shabbos is the Yom Hashvi. So grammatically, it should have said, Uve Yom Hashvi, Shabbos Lavaya, and Hashem rested on the 7th day. What's this lashon of Yom Hashvi? So he explains, Kisheishes Yomim, when we say 6 days, Hem Shisha Midas Al Yonis Shebahem Bal Yodan Hoyu Isavas Ilamis. That 6 days refers to the 6 emotions, the 6 Midas that Hashem created the world. Yom Harishan, the first day, Ya'ir, Hashem said, let there be light. So, in Midas, that means P'chinas HaChesed, that Hashem created kindness. And on Shabbos, all the midas, chesed, gvura, tiferes, netzach, yisoid, they all come back to its source, l'mayla. This happens every single Shabbos. During the 6 days, the midas come down in the level of bria, yitzira, and asira to refine the world. What's happening on Shabbos? This is when all the worlds now come up. This comes dafka on the 7th day, which is the level of Malchus, Ayin, Priyetz Chaim, Shar Aleph, Perek Zayin. So he explains, in order to have an ascent, you first have to have, it has to start from Lamata. Just like when one lifts a building, so in order to lift the building, you have to lift it from the bottom. And through lifting a building with a lever from the bottom, so through that, you're able to pick up the entire building. Another thing we say, okay, so he says, and this is what it means. That Hashem completed the heaven, this is an expression of like his soul yearns, which we say, which is the idea of the chodedi mikras kala b'ikala. That's what we say on Friday night. The Mal Shabbat, we say that Hashem acquires heavens and earth. So he says, so during Shabbos we have the worlds, how they have an aliyah, and all the 6 days which are refined are koilul and ma'isa b'Shabbos. So commercial hakinyan. This is like the example of somebody purchasing, and he explains. When somebody purchases something, that's called a lekeach. So the lekeach takes the money and gives it to the meicher, to the seller. Once the purchaser gives the money to the seller, so now he purchases the object. So too, when the midas come down during the 6 days, so through that you have the Hamshacha and the Aliyah on Shabbos. Mitura de Pruda, from Tura de Pruda means from the worlds which are like separated from Rishus Harabim, Rishus Hayachid, which is Yechidah Shel Olam, which is the idea of that the Rishus Harabim, the Netzitzes now come to the Eibishter. This is the idea of purchasing by Hashem. So he explains that just like by a purchaser, the purchaser gives the money to the meicher, and now the meicher, and then he acquires the object. So too, Hashem, during the 6 days, we are being mevar the netzitzes. And then comes the Hamshacha and Aliyah on Shabbos. So what is Hashem doing? Hashem is like purchasing things. What does it mean he's purchasing things? The world is a Rishus Harabim. And then Hashem is like being koine Shemayim v'aretz, that through us being mevar the netzitzes, we're able to make Hamshacha and to like bring it to Rishus Hayachid. There's a gamkin in Hagalos Yisrael b'Mitzrayim above all who gamkin in Shaydei Zem Mis'ala netzitzes shenaflu shama. And the same thing is by Galus Yisrael and Galus Mitzrayim Bavel, that the idea is that we have to refine the netzitzes which fell there. V'hein neshamis Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Meir, Avadia, Rabbi Meir, and Avadia. These are the neshamis of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Meir and Avadia. Avadia Novi. He says, Valderach Zenemar b'Krishma. This is what it says in Krishma. And I will gather your grain. To gather the level of echad in ve'ahavta. What does that mean? When a person has to go ahead and work and to make a livelihood, which that's a yerida for the person. So even though when a person has to go into business, he has to go and be involved in making a parnasa tzirida, but through him davening with all his with the koyach achila that he ate, and now he's taking that strength, and he says echad and nahafto, and he wants to give himself over to Hashem. That's why davening is called the oilas hatamid. In other words, how is oilas hatamid relevant nowadays if we don't have a carbon? Aliyas and etzetzis l'mayla, which is Ma'ilud in Etzetzes. Chol Tfilas Achel Mis'ala B'Tfilas HaShabbos, and the entire Tfilas Achel is Mis'ala on Shabbos. Okay, so we're holding now the last paragraph, V'zeh Shenemar. V'zeh Shenemar, and this is what Shloimy Melech is saying, Emtzo'acha B'chutz, I will find you outside. What does that mean? Shegam HaBalei Asakim Yimtzo B'chutz, that even the Balei Asakim will be found outside. Kivan Sha'idei because through their involvement, they refine the echad. And all Yidden are mekayim this. In the Gemara, it's halacha in the Gemara, all opinions hold that the first parsha of Krishma needs kavana. And everyone agrees, in other words, there's a machlek is if Hafta needs kavanah or not, but everybody agrees that the pasuk Rishon Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, that needs kavanah. What does that mean? This is the idea of Mesiras Nefesh. Every Yid has this level of Mesiras Nefesh. Even though a Yid doesn't, you find that this Jew doesn't have actual Mesiras Nefesh. He has the Mesiras Nefesh in potentiality, not in actuality, but in potential. Even the lowest of the lowest can give himself over. And through this, all of his involvements, all of his business now is elevated to Hashem Echad. If so, so when a person, just like Hashem, is Koine Shemayim V'Aretz, that what's happening is through the week, we are acquiring things, and then Hashem takes the Chayfetz, and now takes the world, and the Rosh Hashanah brings it to the Rosh Yachid. So when a Yid does this, when he's refining the world, he's al derech like Hashem, Koine Shemayim V'Aretz, V'lachenu b'bchinas ka'achli. And that's how he is in a way of ka'achli. So he says like this, V'ahine adarab. On the contrary, B'hem nemar, what does the pasuk say? Shokcho. In other words, what does that mean? Eshachah, I will kiss you. B'chinas neshikin. So it says that Hashem will kiss you. What does that mean? B'chinas istabchus rucha berucha. This is the idea of the breath, the connection of one breath to another. Through a Bal Esek davening, which this is the idea of subduing and the advantage of light over darkness. You bring this level from a very high level. This revelation is in the way of kissing. This is the idea of when somebody kisses somebody, it's because you can't express the love in words, so it comes out in a shikin. You slap shustan behevel on a shikin. So what he's saying is that the Bal Esek, not only is he at the level of Och, but he has the level of Neshikin by Hashem. So he explains this. What is this idea? So the level of Ka'achli through the nursing of Shteimi. In other words, that you have the unique from the source of Echad. This is the level of Teda in the way of Chacham Bina, which is called Abba Ve'ema Chacham Bina, father and mother. However, so through the bittul of the person who's working, and then what happens? You drive on the level of ayin, which is the source of teda, like it says, And this level of ayin comes in the level of zer ampin, which is the midas. So therefore, they're at the level of like a brother to me. Both of them are mekabel from the sherish of echad. Which the sherish is higher even than the level of shtei imi. This is the level of keser higher than chachma bina. And this is the idea of why Zavulun comes before Yisachar. What does it say? Vayinashik Lavan Levanov. It says that Lavan kissed his sons. Shehem Ashvatim, which is the Shvatim. Shenikram Gam came Banim LaLevin Elyon, which they're called Banim to the level of Levin Elyon. Kibnei Banim Harin Kibanim. Grandchildren are like sons. So to the idea of Ka'achli, that they receive from the level of ayin, which is the Mokar Chachma Bina Nikrem Abba V'Imo, which is the source of Chachma Bina, which is called Abba V'Imo. So then he says, Anahog Chaviachal Beis Imi, I will lead you and I will bring you to the mother's house, Upkinas Teda, which is the level of Teda. Gam Abal Asik Sarchlich Bei Itma Teda, Abal Asik needs to establish times in learning Teda. Gam Shik Rabbi Dos, Moide Maisa, Upkinas Iskafi, Maisat Stock, even though the Bal Asik's main avodah is through action. And the idea of tzedakah, Mikol Mokim Hamshachas, Tzarech Liyos Keseder, the Hamshacha has to be in an ordinary fashion. First, it has to go Machshava Dibur and then Maisa. Machshava Dibur is Opkinas Kvisit Matera Shel Bal Asik. Now, what's the Machshava and Dibur by a Bal Asik? Is Kvisit Matera. So a Bal Asik can't say, oh, I give tzedakah, I'm paying other people to learn from me. It doesn't work that way. Just like you have Machshava Dibur and Maisa, so too, the Machshava and Dibur for a Bal Asik is Teda, is to actually learn. How does the Bal Asik get the level of Neshikin? Is dafka him learning. So tzedakah is very important, working is very important, and the Yid should give tzedakah and give tzedakah in abundance. This week's Parshas Terumah, it's a whole beautiful sikh in Toshin and Beis. The Rabbi says how every Yid has to be wealthy and reich. The Gashmis doesn't mean only in mitzvahs, it means Pasha Kipshutai, that the whole purpose of why Zov V'Chesev was created was in order to, that Yidden should have it, and it should be a Dira B'Tachtenim. We should use it to make the world a better place, to make a Dira for Hashem. But the Bal Asik, what he's doing is his main thing is the avodah of working. However, which that's Maisa, but in Maisa you need to have Machshava and Dibur. What's the Machshava and Dibur? Bal Asik, this is the idea of learning Torah. What does it say? He nurses from the Shadayim of the mother, which is constant. What does it say? What does it say? I will lead you and I will bring you to the Beis Imi. Let's skip the brackets. How much longer do we have? Okay, a little bit more. Let's move. Is the level of the secrets of Torah, which is P'chinas Torah Shebapev. So what does it mean? It makes Elikim happy. Elikim is Midas Sahelim V'Hester. So through being Mamshach Bino, this is the level of Simcha. So you're causing a gilei of the helem shalayaster v'yalim ezel asher akcha miyayin. I will give you to drink from wine, which means I'm going to give you the secrets of Torah. Ach yayin arakach hainu sheish b'reach hatev. It has a good smell. Ki areach sharshei imakim gaveya shubchinas hamakim hamakif. The level of smell comes to the level of very high level of makif. Well, the ma'im b'chinas mazon, which is higher than mazon, higher than food. Why? Shamazon is for the guf, and the reach it says shanasham nenes mena v'leah guf. Who benefits from the smell? This is the neshama. This is the level of tainik elyon, which does not include in kelim. והנה זהו, יוסר מעל סקביתם על תרא של בעל העסק, שהוא מבחינת הסקף יסר מישר למלכיניק, לעסק תרא של יין הרקח, שריחו דווקא מדבר חורף וכיוס, שהיין זה יסר משקר, שהוא מבחינת פנימיס, יש בגם כריח מבחינת מקף. So, this is the advantage of the person, the בעל העסק involved in Torah, that he has the level of like the wine of the Torah, he has the level of like, it's sharp, that he has the level of wine. Somebody who cannot learn and set times of Torah for himself. All of Nemer Gamkin, what does it say? Ma'asis Rimenia. Derech Ma'amar Zal Posik, Kepelach Harimen Rekosach. Shafil Rekonim Shabach, Leim Mrs. Kedimen. Rekonim Imperush, Pesh Murdim Chas V'Shalom Raksha in Behem Torah. So it doesn't mean somebody who's negligent or is a Pesh Yisrael, doesn't mean that he's bad, it's just he doesn't have Torah. Avnei mitzvahs v'derech eretz, he has mitzvahs. Mitzvahs me'erim gamkin gilei tanig. Mitzvahs is very important, and it's also me'er tanig. K'nedem inyan reichel l'vushayu, you know it's tchilim b'sefer, l'chein nikra osis rimeni, shu gamkin meishiv es ha-nefesh. Okay, have a